There's this very specific, very distinct moment in every parent's life that nobody really warns you about in the parenting books.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the first time they walk. It's not the first day of school. It's that split second right after you land for a major family vacation.
Yes.
You spent like 6 months planning the dream. You have the itinerary, the hotel booking. You've even got the matching shirts that you forced everyone to wear. You have this perfect vision.
Walking down Main Street, USA, the castle in the distance.
Everyone is smiling. It is perfect. And then the plane door opens.
Exactly. The plane door opened.
And you shuffle out, and suddenly you're standing on a concrete curb. You're surrounded by diesel fumes. You're holding a stroller that absolutely will not unfold because a latch is stuck.
And the kids are crying. Their ears didn't pop.
Yes. And you realize the dream is on the other side of a logistical nightmare.
It's the transition. It's the gauntlet you have to run between the real world and, the Magic Kingdom. And honestly, that transition is where a lot of vacations go off the rails before they even really start.
That gauntlet is exactly what we are digging into today. We're doing a deep dive into a specialized guide from Perfect Transportation Limousine and Sedans. It's called Safe Family Travel, the Disneyland Airport Transportation Guide.
Right.
But I have to say, calling this a guide feels like a bit of an undersell.
Completely. I read through this, and it doesn't read like a brochure at all. It reads like a tactical battle plan.
Yes.
It feels like it was written by people who were in the trenches every single day, watching families melt down at LAX and taking notes on exactly why it's happening.
That is our mission for this deep dive. We're not just talking about how to book a car. We are analyzing the logistics of sanity.
Right.
We want to figure out how to move the needle from chaotic to controlled when you're getting from the tarmac to the hotel lobby. Because the source makes a really fascinating point right at the start. This specific leg of the journey, the airport transfer, it feels disproportionately harder than the rest of the trip. Why is that?
It's what the source calls the chain of variables. And I think this is such a crucial concept for parents to grasp.
Okay.
When you travel solo, or even as a couple, you deal with, one or two variables. The flight lands, you grab a bag, you jump in a cab. It's simple.
Simple.
But with a family, the source argues that even if the flight is on time, you are immediately hit with this cascade of friction points.
So it's not just one thing going wrong. It's the potential for 10 little things to stack up.
Precisely. I mean, think about the variables. First, there's the gate distance. How far do little legs actually have to walk?
Right.
If you land at the far end of a terminal at LAX, that's a serious hike. Then you have the biological imperatives. Immediate restroom breaks are non-negotiable with toddlers.
Oh, totally. And then mechanical struggle, the stroller assembly.
Which, let's be honest, is always more complicated when you have an audience of impatient travelers watching you.
Always.
And that's all before you even get to the baggage claim wait, which is totally out of your control.
Yeah.
Or the Southern California traffic patterns, which are, they're notoriously unforgiving.
So families underestimate the cumulative effect of these things.
That's what the source says. They plan the flight meticulously. They plan every minute of the park, but they treat the transfer as a teleportation moment.
Like they expect to just blink and appear at the Grand Californian.
Exactly. They assume, we landed 1, we'll be at the hotel by 2. The source is basically saying, stop doing that.
Yeah.
It's not magic. It's a heavy logistical operation. And if you don't respect the complexity of moving a family unit through a major transit hub, the complexity will run you over.
Okay, so if we are treating this like a military operation, we need to survey the terrain. The source spends a good amount of time breaking down the airport options. And the big takeaway here seems to be that the best airport isn't necessarily the one with the cheapest flight.
This is a huge point. People often book a flight to save, say, $50 a ticket, but they don't factor in the cost of the ground transportation flow. You have to look at the total experience.
So let's break down the big 4 airports they mention. I think most people just default to LAX because, it's LAX.
It's the one everyone knows, but the guide seems to gently push back on that.
Gently, yeah.
They acknowledge LAX is the giant. It has the most flights, often the most direct routes. but they label it with a very polite, very specific phrase.
What was it?
Complex curbside dynamics.
Complex curbside dynamics.
Yeah.
That sounds like a very diplomatic way of saying total madness.
It really is. The issue with LAX, according to the source, is just the sheer density. You've got that horseshoe terminal design that gets incredibly clogged up.
Right.
You have layers of traffic buses, shuttles, cars. You have traffic enforcement officers constantly whistling to keep lanes moving.
In the stress of that environment. I mean, just thinking about it.
It's palpable. And navigating that with a tribe of children and luggage is exponentially more difficult. You're trying to keep track of 3 kids while 500 cars merge in front of you. It's sensory overload.
Okay, so if we want to avoid the complex dynamics, where does the guide steer us? What's the best alternative?
John Wayne Airport, code SNA. This is often pitched as like the gold standard for Disneyland trips.
And why does it win out? Is it just closer?
Proximity is part of it, for sure.
Yeah.
It's usually the shortest drive to the Anaheim resort area. But the source really emphasizes scale. It's just a smaller airport.
Okay.
The walk from the gate to the baggage claim and then out to the curb is significantly shorter. The chaos factor is just so much lower,
That makes sense. Less walking means less whining.
which means a happier start for everyone.
What about the others? They mentioned Long Beach, LGB, right?
Yeah, LGB. They describe this as the smaller airport experience. It has a very different vibe. It's historic. It's partly open air.
Oh, interesting.
If your strategy is to avoid sensory overload, which is a real thing if you have kids who get overstimulated easily, this is a strong contender. It feels less like a transit hub and more like a regional station.
And finally, Ontario International, ONT.
That's the Inland Empire option. It's physically further from the parks, but depending on the time of day, the drive is often against the grain of the worst traffic.
Okay.
But here is the key insight. The source drives home about all these airports, and it's a bit counterintuitive. Distance is actually less important than the pickup logistics.
Wait, unpack that for me, because my brain just says shorter drive equals better experience.
In a vacuum, sure, fewer miles is better. But the source argues that the ability to keep the group together and have a smooth loading process is more valuable than saving 10 minutes on the highway.
I see.
Think about it. If you save 20 minutes driving from SNA, but you spend 45 minutes stressed out at the curb because the pickup area is a zoo, have you really won?
You've just shifted the stress from the highway to the curb.
Exactly. The win is the seamless transition, not just the mile count. You want the airport where the pickup is predictable and calm.
That's a huge shift in perspective. You're optimizing for smooth, not just fast. Okay, so we picked our battlefield. Now we have to play the game I like to call luggage Tetris.
Yeah. This is where the wheels literally fall off for some people. The source says most families make their first tactical error right here. The estimation error.
I am so guilty of this. Oh, it's just a weekend. We'll pack light, just a few carry-ons.
In reality, he has other plans. The guide lays out this very specific math equation that I found hilarious because it's so true.
Let's hear it.
Take a standard family. 2 adults, 2 kids. You think, we fit in a sedan at home. We'll fit in a sedan there. But in luggage terms, that's usually 4 large suitcases, 2 carry-ons, a diaper bag, backpacks, and the stroller.
And we are not talking about a cute little umbrella stroller you use at the mall.
No.
If you're doing Disney, you're bringing the park assault vehicle.
Right.
Big wheels, under-seat storage, cup holders. It's a tank.
Exactly. It's bulky. It takes up half a trunk all on its own. So the source strongly advocates for the SUV over the sedan.
And it's not an upsell.
They're very clear. This isn't an upsell attempt. It's physics. You
Yeah.
physically cannot fit that gear in a Toyota Camry,
You'd be holding suitcases on your laps.
which is unsafe and just miserable. But it's not just the trunk. It's the rear seat.
Ah,
Think about the kids. They've just been crammed in an economy airline seat for 5 hours. Do you really want to squeeze 3 of them across the back of a sedan, shoulder to shoulder?
that sounds like a recipe for a sibling fight before you even leave the airport property.
It is. The SUV allows for, like, physical decompression. Space between siblings is a safety feature for the parent sanity.
I like that.
There's another factor about luggage that I hadn't even considered until I read this, and it's so smart. The return trip factor.
Oh, right. The bloat. The souvenir bloat.
The family that arrives is not the family that leaves.
No, the family that leaves is broke and carrying way more stuff.
Exactly. The family that leaves has souvenirs. They have giant plush Mickeys that do not compress. They have leftover snacks they refuse to throw away.
Huh.
The source points out that space is even more critical on the way back. If you barely fit on the way there, You absolutely will not fit on the way back.
That is such a practical tip. Always budget space for the souvenir expansion.
It creates a panic at the hotel on departure day when you realize the trunk won't close.
Okay, let's pivot to the serious stuff. We can joke about luggage Tetris, but the guide gets very, very serious when it comes to safety, specifically car seats.
This is the core stressor. The source identifies car seat logistics as the #1 source of anxiety for traveling parents. And it makes total sense.
Yeah.
You're in a strange city, trusting a stranger to drive you on a massive freeway system.
They paint a pretty vivid picture of what they call the curbside problem with car seats. Can you describe that?
It's a nightmare scenario that I think a lot of parents have probably lived through. Picture this. You're at a busy terminal, like LAX.
Okay.
Traffic cops are whistling at cars to keep moving. They give you seconds, not minutes. You're trying to install your own car seat into a vehicle you've never seen before.
Right, fumbling with the latch system.
Your toddler is crying on the sidewalk. You are sweating.
And the cop is just glaring at you to move the car.
That is the curbside problem. And it is a recipe for mistakes. When you are rushed and stressed, you cut corners. Maybe the strap isn't tight enough. Maybe the angle is wrong. You just want to get in the car.
So how does the guide suggest we mitigate that? You can't tell the cop to stop whistling.
Advanced intel. Preparation. You need to know exactly what you need before you even land.
Right.
Are you bringing your own seat? If so, are you comfortable installing it in 30 seconds flat? Or are you booking a service that provides them? And if you are booking, you need to be incredibly specific.
So I need a car seat isn't enough info.
Not even close. Is it an infant seat? A convertible? A booster?
Okay.
High back booster? The source advises knowing your child's height and weight so you can communicate that clearly.
Okay.
But there was one statement in the text about this that really stood out to me. It was a warning.
The just hold the child line?
Yes. The guide states explicitly that a professional chauffeur should never pressure a parent to just hold the child or make it work because they're in a hurry or don't have the right seat.
It gave me chills reading that because I can just see it happening. You're tired, the driver says. It's just a short ride, hop in, and you cave.
It happens more than you'd think, especially in rideshare situations where the seat isn't what was expected. But the source takes a really strict stance. Safety is the priority. If the seat isn't right, the car doesn't move.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
It's the difference between a professional service and just catching a ride. It's about the authority to say, no, we are doing this right, even if it takes 5 more minutes.
It's investing in the confidence that you aren't compromising safety for speed.
Exactly. And a good driver will help with the install, not rush you through it.
So we've secured the vehicle, we've installed the seats properly. Now let's talk about the timeline. Because I am so guilty of this. I see landed 2:00 p.m. on my flight tracking app, and I tell my ride, be there at 2:00.
Ah, the false arrival. The source calls this out as a major friction point. Just because the wheels touch the ground doesn't mean you are ready to be picked up.
I feel personally attacked by this section, but please, go on.
We all do it. We want to get there fast.
Right.
But the guide lists all these hidden time sinks you need a buffer for. We mentioned restrooms and strollers, but also just the walk. At some airports, that walk from the gate to baggage claim is a hike. It can be 20 minutes if you have slow walkers.
And checked baggage is the great equalizer. You are at the mercy of the carousel gods.
You can stand there for 30 minutes easily. So the recommendation is to build that buffer into your scheduled pickup. Don't schedule the car for the landing time. Give yourself 30, maybe 40 minutes post-landing.
It sounds like you're just buying yourself patience.
You are. If the driver is waiting comfortably and you aren't rushing to meet some crazy deadline, the whole energy changes.
And communication is key, I imagine.
It's the other half. Don't just give the flight number and go dark. The source says that when the provider monitors updates, the whole transfer becomes predictable. But they need the data from you.
Now, I know what a lot of listeners are thinking. Why go through all this? I've got an app on my phone. I'll just grab a ride share when I walk out. And that works for a lot of trips.
Sure.
But the source offers a pretty detailed critique of rideshare specifically for this type of trip, the heavy load family vacation.
It comes back to that word we used earlier, control. The source argues that rideshare has some significant vulnerabilities here. First, trunk space. You cannot request an Uber with an empty trunk guarantee.
Right. You might get a driver who has their gym bag, a subwoofer, and a case of water in the back.
And if you have that 4-suitcase plus stroller load we talked about, you're stranded. You physically cannot fit.
And the car seat inconsistency?
Exactly. Yes, some services offer a car seat mode, but availability is spotty. and you have no idea about the condition or, frankly, the expiration date of that seat until it pulls up.
And at a place like LAX, the pickup point for rideshares isn't even curbside anymore, is it?
Correct. This is a huge factor. At LAX, you often have to take a shuttle bus to a specific LAX lot to get your rideshare.
Oh, wow.
So imagine dragging the luggage, the kids, and the stroller onto a crowded shuttle bus just to get to the parking lot where the car is.
That sounds like the opposite of a magical start. That sounds like a workout.
Right. Private transfers can often access different curbside areas closer to the terminal. But there's another layer to the private transfer advantage that I think is brilliant for families trying to save money: the multi-stop itinerary.
Ah, the grocery run. I didn't think about this as a feature, but it makes so much sense.
It's a huge feature. A lot of families want to stop at a Target or a grocery store on the way to the hotel to stock up on water, snacks, breakfast items.
So they aren't paying $10 for a bottle of water inside Disneyland. Smart.
But trying to negotiate that with a rideshare driver,
It's awkward. Hey, can you wait outside for 20 minutes while I buy bananas?
you get your rating tanked or get left in the parking lot. Most drivers won't do it. But with a private transfer, you plan that in. We need a 20-minute stop at this address. And it's just done.
So you pay a bit more for the car, but you might save a fortune on park snacks. It balances out.
It's a strategic play. It turns the transfer into a supply run.
The source also touches on some specifics about the hotels themselves. Apparently, not all drop-offs are created equal.
No, this is a great insider detail. Anaheim hotels vary wildly. Some have these grand driveways where you can take your time. Others, especially the ones right on Harbor Boulevard across from the park entrance, have very limited frontage.
And Harbor Boulevard is basically a parking lot during park opening and closing times.
It creates these massive traffic surges. A professional driver who knows the area, knows which side entrance to use, or how to time the approach so you aren't sitting in gridlock for 20 minutes just trying to turn into the hotel.
A GPS app doesn't always account for park closing traffic.
Or pedestrian waves, yeah.
Okay, so we've survived the arrival, we've had the trip, we've eaten the churros. Now, the return. The source calls this the hidden hurdle. Why is the ride back harder?
Fatigue. Pure and simple. Think about the physical state of the family. You've just spent 3 or 4 days walking 10 miles a day.
The kids are exhausted.
The dopamine crash is real. Patience levels are at absolute zero.
And the bags are heavier?
Much heavier. So the source argues that you need to be even more structured going home than you were arriving. You have less margin for error because everyone's fuse is just shorter.
So what does that structure look like?
Well, it starts with confirming the pickup time based on airline recommendations, not just your best guess, but it also means building in time for hotel loading,
Right.
getting bell services to bring the bags down, getting everyone out of the lobby. That takes longer than you think. You don't want to be panic shoving souvenirs into a bag while the driver is waiting.
And they mention snacks again here, don't they?
Crucial. Keep snacks and water accessible for the drive to the airport. Do not pack the juice boxes at the bottom of the suitcase.
You might need to deploy a strategic snack halfway to LAX to prevent a meltdown.
The strategic snack deployment.
Yeah.
I like that. It's resource management. The goal is to keep the Disneyland bubble intact for as long as possible. You want to glide into the airport.
I love that image. Gliding instead of crashing. So, as we wrap up this battle plan, what's the main philosophy here? What is the source really telling us?
I think it boils down to this. The best family trips start with clear planning and realistic expectations. It's about removing the surprises. We can't control flight delays or TSA lines, but we can control the logistics of the transfer.
There's a quote in the source about the feeling of service that I thought was quite poignant. It says professional service isn't really about the car.
Right. It's not about the leather seats or the shiny rims. It's about the feeling of being taken care of. It's the patience with the kids. It's the calm approach to loading bags.
It's a driver who gets that family's move at a different pace.
And accommodates that rather than rushing them.
It's the absence of stress.
Yes. It's someone saying, I've got this. You just worry about your kids.
So here's a final thought for you to chew on as you plan your next trip. We talk a lot about budgeting money for vacations, right? The tickets, the hotel.
Sure.
But I want you to think about cognitive load.
That's a powerful metric.
By outsourcing the logistics of the transfer, by paying someone else to worry about the car seats, the trunk space, the traffic, and the timing, how much mental energy do you free up?
And what's the value of that energy when you're trying to create memories with your kids.
Exactly. If you show up to the hotel lobby fresh and ready to go versus frazzled and arguing because the Uber was too small, that sets the tone for the whole vacation.
So is the cost of uncertainty actually higher than the price of a planned transfer?
It's an investment in your own presence of mind.
And frankly, your presence is what your kids actually want.
Something to think about before you book your next flight. That's all for this deep dive into safe family travel. Safe travels, everyone.
See you next time.